Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel where, yes, I know it is a day late for me. Tuesday was really busy, had a work conference and trivia night plans with my wife. So I'm doing it here tonight after the Brewers game. And we're doing my week 6 NFL Power Rankings. After a wild week of NFL football this past week with no more undefeated teams and the first set of bye weeks as well. It's going to be very interesting power rankings here. But first up is the Arizona Cardinals, who I am dropping down to bad. Because of how you lost to the frickin' Tennessee Titans. Through a comedy of errors, including an interception that they got that was fumbled and then recovered by the Titans for a touchdown. A running back having a 70-yard touchdown nullified because he dropped the ball before the end zone. You end up losing to the worst team in football by a final score of 22-21. I'm sorry, I know you have 2 wins. I do not care because you lost to the Titans, so you're automatically going into the bad tier. And so, we go on the Atlanta Falcons. They were on a bye week this week. Still going to have them here in the meh tier. I mean, they're currently at 2-2 in the NFC South. I mean, kind of just meh. You did beat the Commanders last time you played, but again, against Marcus Mariota. And so, yeah, in the meh for me. Next up is Baltimore. And I can't believe I'm doing this, but Baltimore's in the bad tier. I am sorry. This team, without Lamar, without the defense, with all these injuries, is completely unwatchable. Got destroyed by the Houston Texans by a final score of 44-10. A Texas team that doesn't have a good O-line and has been struggling all year long up to this point. Blown out, had no life whatsoever. And the Ravens are just absolutely screwed right now. So, yeah, they're in the bad tier because of the play they've been doing on the past few weeks. Defense has been atrocious. Staying in Super Bowl contender tier, as I think right now the clear best team in the AFC is the Buffalo Bills, as the AFC surprisingly has been the weaker conference to start the year so far. Buffalo had the overtime loss against the New England Patriots. Division rival, Patriots are playing some really good football right now, so they're actually going to be moving up quite a bit here in this tier list here. But Buffalo will be fine, especially with how Kansas City and Baltimore have been playing their 2 biggest challengers. It's been a really good start to the year for Buffalo. They weren't going to go undefeated, and they lost the division game, but really solid start to the year for Buffalo. Next up is Carolina, who I'm moving up here into the mid tier. 2-3, they were able to get a big comfort behind victory against the Miami Dolphins, which was a big thing for Bryce Young to get, especially after the terrible game against New England, who was actually better than we thought they were. And also that first half where he had 2 turnovers to be able to come back and win this game. Huge momentum for Carolina. Defense able to clamp down in the second half. And they got some nice stuff going on their offense. So, Carolina up in meh. Also, kind of staying in meh is the Chicago Bears, mainly due to the conference they're in. They're 2-2 right now. They're in AFC. They're definitely being a wild card tier. But there's a lot of great teams in the NFC right now. I'm still interested to see how the Bears do the rest of the year with how much more mesh can Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson do for this offense, how well this defense can perform. The Bears are definitely a better team than they were last year, but still got to see how they do against really good teams in their own division. Next up is the Cincinnati Bengals. When you're in a situation where old man Joe Flacco is worth trading a 5th-round pick for, you're in trouble. They're currently at 2-3, not playing great football. They're going up against the rested Packers team with the worst offensive line in football, one of the worst defenses in football, and Joe Flacco as the quarterback. You tell me how the Bengals are doing. Not that good. So yeah, they're in bad. Next up is Cleveland, who I'm putting up here above both Baltimore and Cincinnati because at least the Browns are keeping games close against teams. They lost on a last-minute drive against the Vikings. They played good in Dylan Gabriel's first start with the trade of Joe Flacco. Is Dylan Gabriel's team to have. And also, unlike Baltimore and Cincinnati, they actually have a really good defense. So that's keeping them up. And Quinton Judkins is an absolute stud of a running back. So honestly, the Browns draft class is playing very, very good so far. So Cleveland up there in bad, but not the worst, which is good for them. Next up is Dallas, who I'm moving up the wild card. 2-2-1, absolutely blew out the Jets. And I gotta say, Dak Prescott is having an excellent season. Easily a top 5 MVP candidate right now. Especially if you get the Cowboys in the playoffs with basically him doing all the work. Like, he is balling the heck out right now. And so, yeah, the Cowboys 2-2-1, mainly because of the insane effort of Dak Prescott. Next up is the Denver Broncos, sitting at 3-2, tied for the division lead. And honestly, I'm moving them up into division tier because right now they're playing the best football out of all the AFC West teams. They just beat the Eagles by absolutely shutting down the Eagles offense in the fourth quarter. Bo Nix is able to come from behind and lead the Broncos to 18 straight unanswered in the last 11 minutes of the game. They're playing really good, and so they're up in their division. Going up to my number 1 spot, the Detroit Lions. And this is because of this offense. Ever since their week 1 beat down by the Packers, this Detroit Lions offense has been on an absolute tear. Granted, they did beat up on the Bengals. Not really the most impressive thing in the world, but still 4-1. Offense is rolling. They're in first place of the NFC North, playing some really good football. Gotta be a little worried about a couple injuries on defense right now, especially Terrion Arnold, but if this offense keeps doing what it's doing, they don't really need a great defense. So up there in Super Bowl. Staying in division for me is the Green Bay Packers. On bye week this week, all reports are saying that the offensive line is going to be healthy. Everyone's going to be healthy, but Devontae Wyatt basically. Going to get Christian Watson back here soon as well. And so I think the Packers are going to absolutely destroy the Cincinnati Bengals and get their confidence back. And so up there in division tier for me is Green Bay. Next up is Houston, who I'm putting in the wild card tier as they desperately needed these past 2 weeks to basically have a get-right system. Blew out both the Titans and the Ravens. Now, we want to see them do this against, better teams right now than those two, but really good get-right games for Houston right now, so that is very good. But going up in division tier, because I don't see these teams as true Super Bowl contenders yet, is the Colts and Jaguars. We're going to start with the Colts first because they're first alphabetically. 4-1. They had a... who did they beat? They absolutely smacked the Raiders around by a final score of 40-6. And guys, I think Daniel Jones is actually good at quarterbacking now. I know, crazy. It's been 5 weeks. We said this about Sam Darnold last year, waiting for him to fall off. He didn't really do that to the end of the year, and Sam Darnold also playing amazing so far this year. But, yeah, Indianapolis playing some really good football. Jonathan Taylor is absolutely amazing, saving me in fantasy this year. Thank you, Jonathan Taylor. Both me and my wife, actually. So, yeah, Indy's good. And what about these Jacksonville Jaguars? 4-1, beating the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football in the game that I thought was going to be an ugly mess. But instead, this defense, led by former Packers linebacker coach, is absolutely ferocious. Got a 99-yard pick six off of Mahomes. And Trevor Lawrence made one of the weirdest game-winning touchdowns of all time, where he almost fell and ran in for the touchdown there. But Jacksonville, I'm actually having them rated above Green Bay because of who they just beat. They're playing some really good football, and them in Indianapolis have built a pretty sizable lead over Houston for this division, which is key for them heading into the rest of the year. Next up is Kansas City, who is down here in wild card. Yeah, they're not having the luck they did last year in one-score games, as they lost to said Jaguars, mainly because of key mistakes in the red zone. Particularly Patrick Mahomes throwing that pick six was huge. So, yeah, I still think they're going to be fine. They're 2-3 right now, so, but I still think they're going to be a-okay. Rashee Rice should be coming back here after this week due to suspension, and maybe the offense will be better, but they're the Chiefs. They're going to be fine. But someone I'm starting to question a bit more is the LA Chargers. Sitting at 3-2, but they lost to the Giants the week before, and this week, where are they? They lost to the Commanders 27-10 after having a 10-0 lead, unable to do anything for the rest of the game. Herbert, who had a great start of the year, does not look great these past few weeks, and they just lost rookie running back Marion Hampton to the IR for 4 weeks. So not good at all for LA. Dropping down here. And dropping down to Division tier is the LA Rams. I mean, close loss on Thursday Night Football to the 49ers in overtime, 26-23. But it was a very hard-fought game. Played some solid football there, so LA is in Division tier, as I do still think they're the best team in that division. San Francisco just got the better of them in that game. Next up is the Vegas Raiders. Absolute booty cheeks against the Colts there. Geno Smith has completely fallen off a cliff. Ashton Jeanty is doing the best he can to hold up this offense, but he can't do it all by himself. And this Raiders defense is garbage. Absolute garbage. So yeah, they're in the bad tier for me. Also in bad is Miami, but they had a solid game against Carolina. Darren Waller has been an absolute treat to watch him come back here in the NFL. But defense completely blew it against Carolina in the second half, and offense was able to do nothing basically. So they're there in the bad tier. Next up is Minnesota, who is going in the wild card tier for me. 3-2, a good win against a tough, frisky Browns team there. The reason why I have them in wild card is I still don't know about the quarterback situation. JJ gets healthy. Are you going to go back to JJ? Or are you going to roll with Carson Wentz, who is, both of them, I think, are limited in what they are right now. Granted, they have Jordan Addison back. They have Justin Jefferson, and the defense is still very good. But if I have a question still at the quarterback position, which is the main thing, I think, holding back Minnesota from being one of the true contenders. And the biggest surprise on this list so far is New England, moving up into the wild card tier after they beat Buffalo in Buffalo thanks to a walk-off field goal, mainly because of Drake May. He is developing into a really, really good quarterback right before our eyes this year. Offensive line is giving him more protection than he had last year. Stephon Diggs has been an excellent addition to this team to help give him a good weapon. And this defense is beginning to take shape under Mike Vrabel. And honestly, with the way the AFC is this year, New England can easily make the playoffs. Who's not making the playoffs, though, is the New Orleans Saints, though they did get their first win of the year, beating the Giants by a final score 26-14. Defense absolutely showed out this game. Spencer Rattler had a very solid game as well. And so, yeah, New Orleans, good job. They've been keeping close in games all year long. They're not the worst team in football. There's a lot of fight there, and Kellen Moore is really having this team fight. So that's all you can say for this point of their rebuild is try to just build a culture there, and they're doing that. Dropping down the Giants, I mean, yeah, after beating the Chargers last week, you lay a dud like that, having 3 fumbles in this game. Defense not able to contain Spencer Rattler. Not good at all for the Giants there. And so you're kind of back to square one and got to hope Jackson Dart can, be better than what he was on Sunday. So there's the Giants. Yeah, the Jets are bad. They're pretty bad. Only winless team in the NFL. Got absolutely destroyed by the Cowboys. The Aaron Glenn defense is not working. And you got to know how much of a leash he's going to have with a very impatient organization. I mean, Robert Saleh is proving in San Francisco that he is still a great defensive mind. They fired him for a guy who's not as good as Saleh, and he's not doing anything to reset the culture or make this defense even look decent at all. So the Jets, I think, are one of the worst teams in football. Staying up here in Super Bowl tier, even though they lost to the Broncos, is the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, it took a collapse of them in the fourth quarter to lose that game. But you are concerned about this offense. They just look uninspired. Saquon has not been Saquon Barkley at all this year. And the passing game with Jalen Hurts has also not looked good. They've done enough to win games up to this point, but you gotta wonder if they're a bit in trouble of maybe dropping off here soon, depending on how they adjust with this offense. So, Philadelphia still Super Bowl tier, though. Next up is Pittsburgh, who is in division tier for me. I mean, they're going to basically win the AFC North by default because the Bengals and Ravens are injured all hell, and the Browns are, well, the Cleveland Browns. And so, with a competent offense, a competent defense, and competent coaching, the Steelers are in a great position to make the playoffs again. So, yeah, there's Pittsburgh there for you. Seattle. I'm having in the top of wild card tier because the division is going to be very full. I mean, very good effort against Tampa Bay. I mean, what a shootout between Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. They just happened to lose at the very end of this game, 38-35. But, yeah, I think the doubts about Sam Darnold are wrong. He is absolutely balling out in Seattle, playing some really good football, continuing his development from last year into this season. So I think they're going to be fine. But they're in one of the toughest divisions of football. Honestly, two of the toughest divisions of football are in the NFC between the North and the West. So it's going to be very interesting to see how playoff seeding goes. But yeah, Seattle is definitely right there. In division tier, San Francisco. I mean, what a win for them. To go in to basically what is a home game in LA, and with Mac Jones as your quarterback, going to Kendrick Bourne as your main receiver with basically just Christian McCaffrey, to win that game with all the injuries you have, yeah, really good effort there by San Francisco. Especially with their schedule being one of the easiest in football, they could definitely win this division, even though I think the Rams are a better team. San Francisco, I think, has the better schedule. Next up, Tampa Bay. Yeah, Baker Mayfield is, I think, one of the front runners for an MVP this year. Absolutely balling out. Gotta wonder about this defense. Have been giving up 35 points to the Seahawks there, but absolute great effort there by Tampa Bay. 4-1, basically have their division locked down. And yeah, no, they're definitely a very, very fun football team here. Next up is Tennessee. Yeah, I mean, that was more about the Cardinals absolutely blowing it and you being good. But hey, you got your first win. Cam Ward made it throws down the stretch. Your coach still sucks and should be fired. But hey, very good effort there by Tennessee. And also a great effort by Jaden Daniels in his first game back for Washington. Coming back with 27 unanswered points against the Chargers to be able to win that game. So, yeah, good job for Washington. So, yeah, a very imbalanced thing. You got really good teams fighting out. You got some teams that are kind of meh here, but still in position to make good runs. The reason why I have the Texans and Chiefs not in meh is because I believe they will bounce back rather than the Bears, Falcons, and Panthers, and a whole lot of stinky teams in the NFL this year. So that is my tier list here. In Super Bowl, we got the Lions, Eagles, and Bills. Division, I got the Jaguars, Buccaneers, Packers, 49ers, Rams, Colts, Steelers, and Broncos. Wild card, I got the Seahawks, Commanders, Cowboys, Patriots, Vikings, Chargers, Texans, and Chiefs. Meh, I have the Bears, Falcons, and Panthers. And bad, I have the Cardinals, Dolphins, Saints, Browns, Giants, Raiders, Ravens, Bengals, Titans, and Jets. And there's a giant ad on my screen right as I was about to end the video. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you do enjoy, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow with my NFL predictions. Peace.